Buying a home can be exciting. Heck, it is exciting, let's be honest. And whether you're a first-time home buyer or buying for the second, third, or fourth time, the next chapter and that next dream, whatever it is, when it comes to home buying, it feels like a dream within reach. But the truth is, here's the truth, is that buyers, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a veteran home buyer, often make mistakes that cost them time, money, and in some cases, even that home that they wanted so badly. And I've seen it happen so many times here in Boston through my experience as an agent in this city. And I don't want that for you today. So today I'm going to be sharing the worst mistakes that buyers make, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a veteran home buyer, and what I wish every buyer knew before they started up the process. And make sure you stick around to the very end, because I'm going to share one thing that most buyers overlook or just unaware of when they start the process that can just end up saving you months and months of stress. So let's start to dive in. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Mike O'Brien. I'm a Greater Boston real estate agent and expert, and I help people navigate one of the biggest purchases of their lives as they're either relocating to or perhaps moving in and around the Boston area. Now, over my years as a realtor, I've seen a lot, I have learned a lot about the potential mistakes or what can go wrong during the home buying process. You want smooth sailing, of course. You want a picture perfect process, but there can be ups and downs, there can be pitfalls, there can be obstacles, and how do you avoid them? And the biggest part, the biggest component of avoiding these mistakes is knowing what to expect and planning ahead. So whether you're just starting out your home search and the dream of purchasing a home, maybe you're already in the process and you want to purchase next month if possible, or maybe you've bought before and starting to plan ahead for that next chapter of home ownership, this video is going to save you from making some very painful mistakes. Now, if you're serious about moving to Boston or anywhere nearby, hit subscribe, because we share insider tips like this every week so you can feel prepared and confident as you go through your home search. Now let's dive in. So to start off this list, pretty much the number one mistake that buyers make, and I hear it all the time, and it's a mistake that just cuts the home search off before it even begins. It completely stymies, obviously, the home buying process, is when buyers say, and I hear this from first-time home buyers and veteran home buyers, is waiting for, I'm going to wait for that perfect time to buy. Yes, the quote unquote, that perfect time to buy. And it's either I'm going to wait for the prices to drop, or I'm going to wait till the interest rates are just perfect. And the reality is that perfect time never comes. Now, there's a difference. There's a difference between waiting for the perfect time to buy and waiting to get yourself prepared to buy. I mean, those are two distinctly different things. Are you trying to save up more for a down payment? Are you trying to save up a little bit more so your monthly payment for your interest rates or your pre-approval, your financing, is in a more manageable range for your budget and for your lifestyle? You know, those are things that you're getting prepared to buy, as opposed to waiting for the perfect time to buy. Because what is that date? Oh, is it going to be March 15th? Is it going to be August 1st? When is that perfect time to buy? When is that perfect time, that perfect date to start your home search, right? And what is the perfect rate? And people have been waiting for the rates to drop for years, it feels like. You know, they were quote unquote high, and they were high compared to what they were during the pandemic, and the 2s and the 3s and those percentage points back then. And now they were too high when they're in 7s and 8s. And now to some, they're still too high now that they're in the 6s and maybe starting to get to the 5s. So what is that magic number of the interest rate that is going to be perfect? And again, the reality is that perfect number doesn't exist. And rates change daily, weekly, monthly. And so, yeah, it could be the perfect time today for that interest rate. But what's going to look like as your home search goes along and it goes up and down over the next couple weeks, months, what have you. So again, for people looking at the rates and what they look like, I ask, what does your monthly payment look like? And that's when I always start to get I don't know. I know you don't. Go find out. Does the 6% interest rate means your monthly payment looks like X? Does the 6.5 or 7% interest rate make your monthly payment look like Y? Are both of those affordable regardless? Or do you actually need to wait a little bit, or at least save up a little bit more to make that monthly payment a little more manageable? Because again, it's not about the percentage, it's about that monthly payment and what you can afford and what's going to be comfortable and what's going to fit your lifestyle. I have a client right now who is, again, waiting for these perfect times. And the interest rates can drop, the time of year can be perfect, I guess. I don't know what that perfect time of year is, but the one thing I can tell you with certainty is that home prices do not go down, especially here in the Boston area, the greater Boston area, Massachusetts overall. We've talked about this in other videos, how you were able to set your clock, you'd set your watch to the appreciation, the annual average appreciation, and how the housing market in Massachusetts, 3 to 5% year after year after year. Now, does appreciation slow? Absolutely. Is the appreciation year to year to year the same as it was during the pandemic? Absolutely not. That has definitely slowed. Have prices dropped? They have not. So while you've seen the appreciation slow compared to the pandemic levels, the prices have never dropped, at least not here in Massachusetts and the greater Boston area. And we're back to that steady appreciation year after year after year. So while you may be waiting for the interest rates to be perfect or whatever that perfect season or date is during the calendar year, the one thing I can assure you is that will be changing and will not be changing in your favor is home prices going up year after year after year. So while you're waiting for that perfect interest rate, it's just going to go, the prices are just going to get more expensive year after year after year. And so you're waiting for basically more expensive homes as you move forward. Plus, you're waiting for the interest rates to drop. Guess what goes up when the interest rate drops? Competition. The competition goes up. So yes, you may get the quote-unquote perfect rate, but you're going to be dealing with other people who have now come off the sideline, other buyers who have now been waiting around for that perfect rate or rates to drop, and now they're in the game. And so while you may have a lower rate, you're going to have more buyers that you're competing against and coming across perhaps multiple offer situations and paying more to outbid those other buyers. So don't wait for the perfect time. The only way to succeed, at least start to succeed in your home search and your home buying process, is to begin the home buying process. So don't wait for the perfect time. When it's right for you to start searching, start searching. That's how you have success. All right, next on this list of mistakes is falling head over heels, falling drop dead in love with the first home you see. And you'll see this more amongst first-time home buyers, perhaps expectedly so, as opposed to people who have bought once or a couple times before. They take a more measured approach, in my experience, maybe even overly cautious to make sure they don't get caught up in the emotion and don't fall in love. Sometimes they even prevent themselves from falling in love with the property because, again, they just want to be absolutely sure that this is the right home, which, is a good approach to take. But, you see this overexcitement from all classes of home buyers. And look, I get it, especially if you're just starting off your home search and you're so excited to purchase that first home, and you walk into a house or a condo or a townhome and you see it and it checks all the boxes, it looks great, and you just picture yourself there. Maybe you're sipping your coffee, looking out the window, maybe you have a waterfront view or looking at a lake, or maybe you're looking at this great backyard, whatever it is, and suddenly you're just extremely excited and you're ready to throw in an offer, and at the same time just throw all caution to the wind. I understand, but I've seen too many buyers, first time or otherwise, just get burned by the emotions and the over excitement of things. I have one client not too long ago who ended up closing on a home, but was so excited, really chomping at the bit to start the home search. We had to wait a little bit. There were some financial things to get in order and just get herself to a spot where she could officially start off the home search and have success. But once we got started, she was shot out of a cannon. And before I even really had a chance to start setting up listings and making suggestions for some great homes that would be great matches perhaps, I get a call from her and she's like, found a spot, we need to put an offer in right away. And I was a little bit taken aback. I'm like, we just started. What do you mean you found the perfect home? And listen, sometimes that does happen. But again, what do you mean you found the perfect home? Yeah, this checks all the boxes. Here's the price. We can waive inspection. What are you thinking for the offer price should be? I'm like, listen, we need to take a step back. Do you want to sleep on it? Do you want me to go take a look at the property? She went on her own during open house. Do you want me to go take a second look? What can we do to make sure we're doing our due diligence and to make sure that this is indeed the right property and we're just not, again, falling in love with that first home we see? Well, there's a deadline. We need to get it in. We need to get the offer in. And as a realtor, the best I can do is advise. Mine is not to tell you do or do not put in an offer, but let's make sure we're protecting ourselves, and let's make sure that we're not getting over our skis here when it comes to purchasing this home, because the worst thing is always, again, falling in love too quickly, and you have that buyer's remorse when it's all said and done. And we did the due diligence as best as we could. We put in an offer, very competitive situation, multiple offer situation, and we didn't get an offer accepted. We were blown out of the water by another offer who just went far and beyond with the price. But luckily, I say this, we didn't get that offer accepted because it turns out that it was more space than she needed. And it was a little bit further away than where she wanted to be in relation to her family. And so, thank God, we missed out on that property. And all of a sudden, we were able to kind of slow things down, go through some more properties. We ended up going through 5 properties in one day, and she found one she really loved. And it was on the market for a little bit. We weren't dealing with a multiple offer situation. We were able to do our due diligence and go through the home, do a full inspection, all those things. So she knew exactly what she was getting into, and she could fall in love with that property, knowing everything about that property, not just not just the surface of it or just the exterior of it. You need to go on a couple of dates, right, before to get to know a home before you fully commit. And so we're able to do that. She fell in love too quickly. Luckily, it wasn't a match, but then able to slow things down and make sure that it wasn't love at first sight. It was a love built to last. So this next mistake is going to sound a little counterintuitive compared to what I just talked about not rushing and not falling in love with that first property you see, because now I need to talk to you about how the Boston market and the greater Boston market moves fast and they're unpredictable. And so you need to be nimble. And I've had buyers who have thought they could wait for a weekend of open houses, maybe not so much lately, but definitely during the pandemic, and only to see that this home got a ton of attention. The listing agent has set up an offer deadline already, and they missed out because it just went like that. Or I've had clients that have seen a listing or seen a home that's been on the market for a little bit. We're going to take a couple days to think things over. In the meantime, another buyer has gone and seen it, liked it well enough to put in an offer, and that got accepted. And before you even know it, boom, that home is off the market as well. So you need to be nimble. Sometimes you need to be fast, but ultimately that comes back to being prepared. I've had this conversation dozens, maybe even 100 plus times at this point, where I've been on the phone with a client or a customer, and they say, first thing they say, we're not in a rush. And that's fine. You do not need to be in a rush. Your timeline's my timeline. I do not need you to buy a home next week, next month, even next year. But what I do need you to do is be prepared, because you can start your home search. And the worst thing that can come about for my clients is that they go to see a house and they love it and they want to put an offer and they're just not ready to do so. So whether that's having your financing in order and having your pre-approval, or if it's a cash buy, you have your proof of funds. If you need to sell your home and you need to include that sale contingency in your offer, is your home ready to sell? What does that mean? Do you have your pictures taken? Do you at least have a draft of an MLS listing ready to go? Have you gone through the pricing analysis and know what you would need to list that so it can sell quickly in your market? Because if you're including a sale contingency in your offer, the first call I'm going to get is from the listing agent. It says, hey, I see you included the sale contingency. We love your offer, but what's the status of selling your home? And we could say, hey, everything's ready to go. Pictures, listing. We just need the post. We're pricing it to sell quick. We're doing open houses this weekend and we're ready to go. So that is being prepared, because I can't tell you how many times that I have talked to a client or worked with a client that they're not in a rush until they are. And so they haven't prepared, they don't have their ducks lined up, they don't have everything in order such that they come across a property and they're not ready to put an offer. Because when you do find that home you love, again, you don't need to be in a rush to find it. You don't need to be in a rush to purchase that first home you see. But in this market right now, you do need to be quick when the situation calls for it, especially if it's a home that you really love and you want to put an offer in and get that offer accepted. So do not misread the pace of the market. Even though you're not in a rush, just be prepared in case you need to move quickly, because yes, there are going to be other homes coming to market all the time here. We're seeing more inventory this year than we saw this time last year, and it's continuing to grow. But again, don't miss out on that property that turns out that you really wanted, that you loved, you saw it was a perfect fit because you weren't in a rush, but you weren't prepared. Boston has a ton of wonderful architecture that's full of charm and character, whether you're looking at brownstones downtown in a place like Back Bay or South End, or whether you're looking at the cobblestone lined streets and the homes there in Beacon Hill, or you're looking outside the city, the marvelous historic homes in a place like Concord, or the colonials in a town like Arlington. Again, wonderful opportunities, a ton of different towns, cities, areas, neighborhoods for some great homes, great architecture. But I do see buyers sometimes getting enchanted, if you will, or overly excited about the character, the look of the home, that they forget to ask the important question, hey, what does living in this home actually look like for me? What is the day-to-day? What is the month-to-month? What is the year-to-year? What are the costs of living in this home day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year? I mean, those exposed bricks may look gorgeous, but what about insulation and heating costs during the winter? Those bricks may look great on the exterior of the home, but what does the masonry work look like, and the cost therein when those bricks start to deteriorate and need to be replaced? That 100-year-old home feels special, sure looks special, but what does the maintenance look like? Are there foundational issues because it's so old? Does it have AC? What's it going to cost to install AC? Can you even install an HVAC unit in a smaller attic, or these smaller rooms that may not have a ton of space for ductwork or the vents? Again, and what are the costs of that? The mistake is kind of letting the history, the character, the look of the home cloud your judgment. A home can be charming and livable, but you just need to look past the pretty details. Make sure you just, look behind the curtain a little bit. Don't just focus on the surface. Make sure you get down in the guts to make sure that is the right situation for you. I had buyers who were looking at a beautiful Tudor home in Melrose, and it was just stunning from the outside. You went inside. Oh, sorry, I got a little bruise there. I don't know where that's from. But anyway, you go inside, and hardwood floors, great fireplace, great living room. The kitchen looked fantastic. Big bedrooms, which you sometimes don't often see, or always see in these older homes. Nice closet space, good closet space. But there were some issues they needed to be aware of. It has a slate roof, and those can be expensive and difficult to maintain and update and repair or replace if needed. The finished basement had a workspace where there had been some instances of asbestos that were never completely remedied or remediated, and so something to be aware of. Also, the three-season room in the back had some foundational issues, needed to be replaced sooner rather than later. And so good on my clients for not just getting absolutely enamored with the look of this home, the character of this home, and it was stunning. I do say so myself, that they were able to figure out issues were actually there in this home, how they were going to address them, and can they live with the day-to-day, week-to-week, year-to-year? Can they deal with the costs and whatever issues are both present and may arise in the future as they live in this home? Happy to say that they did proceed with the home purchase, and they are very happy here today, but that's largely in part because they were able to see past just the beauty, the initial beauty of this home. Again, take a peek behind the curtain, find out all the issues, and know that, hey, we can deal with these, and we can live here, and we're going to be very happy in this home. All right, this next one is a big one because a lot of the mistakes we've gone through so far have been more logistical in nature. This one speaks more to the emotion of things because buyers really underestimate the psychology of competition. And that's not just competition amongst other buyers, but also competition as it pertains to negotiating with the seller themselves. And in Boston, well, let's talk about the first one first, go figure. But in Boston, you're rarely the only one to be interested in a home, interested in property. And I've seen buyers freeze up when they realize that they're in a multiple offer situation, that they're one of maybe 3, 5, or 10 offers. And you just think there's no possible way I can possibly get my offer accepted or win this home when there's so many other buyers trying to get their offer accepted on this exact same property, and they just kind of throw their hands up in the air and say, there's no way I can possibly win this. Or worse, on the other side of things, I've seen buyers let their emotions push themselves or push them past their comfort zone because they need to win this home. They're absolutely caught up in the emotion, and there's no way that I'm going to get outbid by that other buyer, and I need to win this particular home. And so now they're pushing themselves past their comfort zone financially, or maybe logistically. They're moving up closing dates, they're waiving contingencies and all that because they need to have this home. They're getting caught up in the psychology of it all. And listen, buying a home is an emotional thing. It just is. We've talked about so many times already in that buying a home is one of the biggest purchases you're going to make in your lifetime. And there's emotion inherently tied to that. There just is. But if you can do your best to remove the emotion when you're making that offer, you've worked with your agent, you've worked with your lender, you've worked with your banker, you've worked with your financial, you basically have worked with your team, and you have a strategy in place. So you know that financially, logistically, I have kind of my desired radius, if you will, circumference, whatever term you want to use. I know where I can kind of push things. I know where my ceiling is, and I'm never going past that proverbial ceiling and getting caught up in things. Because I tell my buyers when they really love a home and they really want it, and listen, I hope we get our offer accepted, of course. If we do not, trust me, this is not the last home that's going to be bought and sold in all of Massachusetts. There will be others that come to market, I guarantee you. So we're going to do our best to get an offer accepted, and it's going to be an offer that makes sense for you. But if not, listen, we'll walk away or we'll move on to the next one, and it's going to be okay. There will be other homes that come to market. Maybe you find one that you like even more than the one we've been bidding on. And so, again, just do your best to take the emotion out of it. I find that things generally work out the way they're supposed to, and my clients generally end up where they're supposed to be in a home that they love. And now let's talk a little about the emotion when it comes to the seller side of things, in that you're a buyer, you've had your offer accepted, and you're negotiating with the seller a bit. Maybe there's still some terms to hash out. You have your offer accepted, but there's some things you need to work out before you get to purchase and sale, but you're just trying your best to get everything in order to get things under contract, and so you can start moving your way to closing. But just realize that, hey, there's a buyer and there's a seller on either side of the deal, and both are looking out for their best interest. Usually the buyer trying to save a few bucks, and the seller usually trying to get a few bucks more. But again, as you've worked with your team to get that offer accepted, you work with your team to negotiate any terms that need to be worked out as you're working towards purchase and sale, as you're trying to get under contract. So again, do your best to take the emotion out of it. Again, you know where your comfort zone is, you know where your walkaway point may be, and so don't get upset that the seller may be trying to get a few more dollars. It's what sellers do. As a buyer, you're trying to maybe save a few dollars or trying to figure out other details in your best interest for this home purchase. And so during the negotiation, just work with your clear strategy. Don't get caught up or don't be working off the raw emotion. And this way you can both get your offer accepted as you're going through that process, negotiate accordingly, and purchase the home without any regret. So I can't stress this enough. In fact, this probably should have been a little bit further up on the list of mistakes. And so that's a mistake by me. But again, I cannot stress this enough. Trying to go through the home buying process by yourself or trying to do it alone is a mistake, simply said. And buyers, first time and all or otherwise, often think they can just Google their way through the process. Or sorry, let me update that. They think they can chat GPT their way through the process, but you don't know what you don't know. And the home buying process is a lot. The fine print, the legal documents, the legalese, the deadlines, the strategies, the logistics, the financial components. It is a huge process with a ton of details, a lot of potential obstacles, pitfalls, and otherwise. And I go back to the attorney metaphor. If you're actually representing yourself in court, in front of a judge, would you want to represent yourself? And I know you see it a lot when you see it on TV and TV dramas or movies. It looks romantic, right? And I'm not sure how often it actually works out in those fictional settings, to be fair. Maybe it works out in the comedies, but would you actually want to represent yourself in court, or would you want an attorney or a lawyer to represent you through the trial and whatever? Would you want them representing and looking out for your best interest in front of a judge? Same thing goes for a realtor. Why wouldn't you want to be represented by a realtor, by an agent who can guide you through the home search process, more importantly, guide you through the offer process, and guide you through the entire home purchase process, offer accepted, getting under contract, inspections, closing, title work, all the things that you may not realize are a part of it until you go through it. And if you don't have an agent advising you ahead of time or advising you as you go through the process, you might be hit with a ton of surprises about the house itself, or you might end up making some mistakes that again cost you time and money and the house itself. And I had a client who tried going solo before reaching out to me, and by the time they called, they had already lost out on, they were looking at a specific building up in Woburn, and so they lost out on 3 condos there and just felt completely defeated. And I asked, why are you going at it alone? Like, oh, we feel that we're able to have success without an agent. I'm like, we just lost out on 3 condos there because you tried going alone. Like, are you reaching out to? Do you have any communication with the listing agent to find out are there other offers? Is there other competition? What is the seller looking for in the offer? Or are you just throwing out an offer and kind of hoping it works? Are you looking in the right areas, the right building? Are you looking at a condo building? Are you looking in the right areas to have success with what you're looking for and the offers? Again, with the right guidance, we were able to find a condo in a different building that actually, I think, in my opinion, I feel that they think the same way, was better than the condos they were initially looking at, and they were able to get an offer accepted at a lower price than the other ones that they were previously trying to get in on. So don't underestimate the power of having someone who has expertise in your corner and to guide you through the process. Do not try going at it alone. First off, you don't need to. Why would you? And so again, use a trusted professional to help you with what will be one of the biggest decisions and biggest purchases of your life. So if you're in Boston or planning to move to Boston, reach out. I'd love to talk to you, and we can go through this step by step so you can feel confident and comfortable, and more important, have that success, get that offer accepted from day one. We're almost wrapped up here, but here's that overlooked mistake that I teased at the beginning of this video. And that is not preparing for the lifestyle shift that comes with owning a home, or the lifestyle shift that comes with owning a particular home. And for first-time home buyers especially, they focus so much on the purchase and they forget about what comes after you've closed on that home. And that is maintenance, repairs, budgeting in an entirely different way. I mean, it's not just the utilities, gas, electric, cable, and otherwise, and then that monthly mortgage payment, which may have been a rent payment in the past, essentially, but now it's that monthly mortgage payment. Now you need to plan ahead for, the hot water heater that needs to be replaced in a couple of years, or maybe you want to update your flooring. And so people forget about, again, a completely different kind of budgets. Again, especially first-time home buyers, when they purchase that home. So again, just always make sure you're preparing for that lifestyle shift, especially first-time home buyers, because it's a whole new host of different kinds of expenses that you need to make sure you're aware of and planning for. And even those people who have bought before, or maybe you're moving from or downsizing. You've had a home and you're moving to a 55 plus community or just a townhome community, and all of a sudden, maybe you're not paying for landscaping, or maybe the neighbor's not coming over to mow the lawn anymore, but now you have a whole new different kind of condo fee that covers the landscaping and the snow removal and the trash removal and the exterior maintenance, but a little bit more than what you're spending on, again, Johnny next door mowing the lawn, or your kid shoveling the sidewalk, or shoveling the driveway and all that. Also just the difference of being in a different community. Maybe you're moving from town to town, and it's a completely different vibe and a completely different lifestyle. So just make sure you are preparing for however your lifestyle and your daily routine changes when you plan for that transition, both financially, logistically, emotionally. It's not just about the keys that you're getting to the home. It's about the life that you're going to be creating and the life that you're going to be living. So you'll avoid that shock, whether you're a first-time home buyer and just getting adjusted to all that owning a home entails, or whether you're just adjusting to a new environment and a new life and a new home. Because buying a home isn't just a transaction. I mean, it is, but it's not just a transaction. It's a whole new chapter for you. So those are some of the biggest mistakes that I see buyers make, and what I wish they knew ahead of time, and how to avoid those mistakes as they're starting up their home buying process and beginning that particular journey. So again, don't wait for the perfect time. Make sure you don't get too overly excited about that first home you see. Take a beat, slow down. At the same time, be nimble, be prepared for this fast-moving Boston market. Don't get distracted by the charm, the character, the history, the beauty sometimes of these older and very lovely Massachusetts homes. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. Do not get caught up in the emotion of the competition from other buyers, or even negotiating with the seller. Also, do not do it by yourself. Do not go at it alone. You do not need to. Make sure you're working with a trusted professional and a great local real estate agent. And finally, make sure that you're planning for life after closing on your home and all that entails. So if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit like, subscribe, ring that bell for more tips, guidance. We do neighborhood tours of Boston and the areas outside as well. And if you're thinking about moving to or around the Boston area, you can DM me on Instagram at Mike O'Brien Homes, or you can email me directly at mikeobrienhomes@gmail.com. I would love to help you out. And before you go, make sure you check out the other videos here on the Moving to Boston playlist. It dives even deeper into navigating the Boston housing market and real estate so you can move forward with confidence. But in the meantime, I thank you for hanging out with us on this video, and we'll see you in the next one.